It was nice to get back in the W column. You know, we've had a rough last 3 games. Some of it, I think, allowed us to lose some confidence. When you have a young basketball team and things aren't going well and shots aren't going in, sometimes we tend to lose a little confidence. We talked a lot about that before the game. Playing a little bit tight just because we're wanting to do so well. And sometimes when you try too hard, even though that sounds crazy, but sometimes you can just try too hard and not just let the game come to you and let everything flow. And I felt like that we started off that way a little bit tonight, but we kind of started getting into what we wanted to get into. Janika changed the game in the second quarter by pressuring the guard, really giving them a lot of trouble, and I felt that she was one of the reasons why in the second quarter we were able to get somewhat of a lead. And then I felt like Macy came out in the second half and just set the tone. She just came out and she said, listen, we got to get this going. I can make shots. I can do things offensively. And she kind of took it upon herself to really help stretch the lead in the second quarter. So if those 2 guards are playing and doing the things that they did tonight and we get the effort from Evelyn and Mac on the inside, Lex is going to start making shots. There's nothing wrong with their shot. It's right there. So when we start putting it all together, I think that we could be a team that's going to give a lot of people problems, and fortunately we still have about 21 days to get it right.
Maybe elaborate more on what changed between the first and second quarter, because maybe it was a little bit of them still playing tight from this 3-game stretch, or what changed for them out on the floor going into the second quarter to really just bring it home.
Well, we changed our defense a little bit, and we really got after them. Of course, you're trying to limit 3-point shots against that team. They shoot 30-plus threes. Taylor shoots 10. Over 10 a game. Martin, 21, shoots over 7 a game. Those 2 take the majority of the shots for that basketball team. So we were more focused in on our switches and making sure we closed out with high hands. So between the first and second quarter, we changed the way we were guarding their point guard, and we just really went out and pressured her. And I thought that gave them a lot of trouble. And when we get out in the open court and we run, we can do a lot of good things because our bigs can run the floor. And so when we pressure and our offense comes from our defense, that helps us to score. And I felt like that was the difference in the second quarter, is a lot of our offense was created off our defense, and we didn't have to actually make shots or run sets.
There was a moment in the second quarter, and I feel like there was just a big kind of a flip where you might have thrown your play card. I think Janika missed a 3, and it was like 8 threes in a row that your team had missed. Then all of a sudden in the third quarter, you guys come out, score 34 points or 32 points after not scoring that much in the first half. What do you feel like was the difference, and just how much more comforting was it for you to see it smoothly run in the third?
Well, I think my frustration in that moment came from is I think we had just come out of a timeout where we had talked about getting the ball inside. And so we're not making any threes. We're scoring on the inside anytime we want to, and then we go ahead and take that shot. I never tell kids not to shoot the basketball because, again, where's the confidence in that if your coach tells you not to shoot? But when you just come out of a specific timeout and you're wanting to run a specific set to ISO someone in the post and we take that shot, that's where the frustration comes from. But a lot of my frustration is for them. I mean, they're taking good shots. I mean, the ball's going in the basket and coming back out. It's not like we're missing terribly. So a lot of my frustration is because I feel bad for them, and I'm trying to give them confidence even though I know their confidence is low. But for us to be successful when the OVC gets here, we've got to make threes. I mean, that's a big part of our offense and a big part of our game. But I know these kids, and tomorrow's a day off, but they won't take it off. They'll be in the gym getting shots up because confidence comes from repetition. And that's what we talk about all the time. If you want to make shots in the game, then you got to make shots when the lights aren't on either. And I know these kids, and they'll be in the gym tomorrow.
How valuable is it for you all, especially against smaller teams, to kind of have that high-low action that you may not have had last year with Crane and Adebayo or even Mac, that just to where you can exploit that and kind of either get the defense, draw them up, or have them down and just get the jumper, however it works? I mean, what kind of threat is that to an opposing team?
Right. Well, it's a game changer for us because even if you look at the Illinois game, we shot the ball terrible, but look at the rebounding stats. I mean, yes, when we didn't play well and they beat us pretty handily, but we didn't get out rebounded that bad. Last year we got rebounded by every team that we played. And so their presence on the inside, not only being able to give them the ball offensively and make things happen, opens up things for the outside, but it's the ability for us to guard the other team's big and for us to rebound the basketball. And I think that is what has kept us in most games, even though we haven't shot the ball well the last 2 or 3 games, is because our defense is pretty solid. Tonight it was solid again, and our rebounding's been good. And if we can continue to do those 2 things, we've got some time. You're probably going to see different looks when the conference gets here. We're not going to show anything now. Why would we? We're just going to play and see what happens and try to get better. But offensively, we will look different when the new year rolls around.
How much of an emphasis was it tonight to get more set in a half-court offense and defense? We talked about it even as the game was going on. We just didn't see a lot of press, something we've seen out of your team a lot. Was there a reason for that tonight?
Well, a part of the reason is because when we would press them, they would send Martin down. And so when a team sends a three-point shooter down to set up, if you don't get that initial trap, you're giving up the open three. Well, our whole presence of our defensive scout was that we weren't going to give up threes. Now, we gave up some, but we didn't give up nearly as many as they usually make. So you can't ask your team to follow the scout and not give up threes and then put them in a bad position pressuring the basketball. If we would have needed to increase the speed of the game more, then we would have figured out we would have, changed our press up a little bit. But we really didn't need that because of the way the flow of the game was going. And I felt like the couple times I pressed, I put us out of position to do what we were trying to do, and that was limit their three-point shots. So you have to pick and choose your battles. But when people are going to take their best shooter against a press and put them down, and all your people are up top trying to pressure, you're one pass away from an open three. And I felt like that I would be contradicting what I'd preached all week or preparing for this game if I allowed their best three-point shooter to be open because of our pressure.
Bethel started 0 for 15 from the field. I know some of that was some tough shooting, maybe some ill-advised shot takes, but for you guys and for you especially, what was it like to see your defense just play that scrappy in that first 8 to 10 minutes?
Well, I mean, that sets the tone for the whole game. I thought we contested the majority of their shots. They probably missed a few that they should have made. It looked pretty bad offensively on both sides in the first quarter. But a lot of that is because we do contest shots. We do make things hard on people, and we did not give second shots. I think that's the main reason you see a team go 0 for 15 is because they only get one opportunity. But they were having to rush their shots. We switched all screens. We switched 1 through 4. Evelyn was guarding a guard. We knew the matchup for us was going to be different, but we knew they had to guard us as well. But she's agile enough to be able to do that. So, again, with the way we were playing defense and the way we were handling their switches, I mean, they had to take contested shots. And when you make girls take contested shots, a lot of times they're going to miss those shots, but you just have to rebound the basketball. And, again, tonight, that was one. I don't even know what the rebounding stats are, but I do know that we rebounded the ball well.
51 to 34.
17 points for Maya Taylor tonight on 4 of 22 shooting. What was the approach to limiting their best score going into this one?
Well, I mean, it was the total approach on the scout. She has shot the ball 85 times more than the next player on their team. I mean, 22 shots is normal, probably maybe not even as many as she normally takes. So when you have a kid that shoots the ball 85 times more than anybody else on their team at this point, when they are 12 games, they're 10-2, 12 games into a season, you know where the ball is going to go through. But I thought that we made her make tough shots. And I thought all of our guards did an outstanding job switching off on her and getting up into her and making her shoot the ball even deeper than she wanted to. She's a good player. I mean, she's a Division I player. She's an outstanding shooter. But I just felt like that our buy-in defensively was there, and that's a big difference for us this year, is these kids are willing to do what we ask them to do in the scout.
You mentioned Alexa's shooting woes. She started the season 56% from 3. It just hasn't fallen for her lately. Is that something, how do you coach that up in the huddle? How do the players coach that up? What's the process and all that?
It's just staying positive with her. I mean, I pulled her over late in the game, and I said, there is nothing wrong with your shot. There is nothing wrong with your feet. There is nothing wrong with your release. That has always been wrong with it. She's got an unorthodox release, but that she's always have. I said, the ball's just not going in right now. I said, but the ball's just not going in right now. That's what you have to understand. It's going to start going in for you. And so it's just me making sure mentally that she stays confident. Her teammates are over there on the sidelines encouraging her to still shoot the basketball. The reason I left her in at the end of the game is because I told her I wanted her to get as many shots as she could. So that's why she was still at the end of the game, is because I was wanting her to try to continue to shoot those shots and not sit on the bench and think, why am I not making these shots? Because it's 90% mental with her. She's too good a shooter, and shooters shoot and shooters bounce back, and that's what I expect Lex to do. She does so many good things defensively, though. You got to have her on the floor whether she's making shots or not. But she'll start making shots. I'm confident in that.
Do you have updates on health? We've seen Sadie, Reagan Blackburn, didn't see Deja Outlaw, and then did Macy have surgery today as well?
She did. Yeah, Macy Gibson had surgery today. She had an ACL tear, and Dr. Blaylock II did her surgery today. Said it went extremely well. We were really happy with the fact that we thought there was a meniscus tear and some other damage as well, but when he got in there, it was just ACL, and I have all the confidence in the world in him. The last thing I said to him before I left the room for them to take her to surgery was, there's nobody else that I'd rather do this surgery. And, of course, I love these kids like they're my own children. He's outstanding. We are so fortunate to have the Blaylocks here. And so we know that she's going to come back even stronger than ever. She is a big missing piece. We don't talk about it a lot because you control the things you can control. But she is a big missing piece for us, and we're still trying to fix that puzzle because we were already young and a little bit needing that extra score. But we're really thankful that that God placed Dr. Blaylock here to take care of her today. Deasia is not playing for violation of team rules, and that's all I can say about that.
Coach, talk about Evelyn Adebayo had 23 points and 13 rebounds against a Big Ten team, and 21 points and 13 rebounds against a NAI team. Just to me, that says that she's just someone who plays no matter who's on the floor.
Yeah, I mean, Evelyn's a competitor. She's going to go out and she's going to play. And when we can get Evelyn to finish at a higher rate, Evelyn's going to score 35 points because she still is missing shots that she normally makes. But she's just so smart and she's so intelligent. She's coachable. She does what we ask her to do. And the players have a lot of confidence in her, so they want to get her the basketball. I mean, what size kid like that can rebound the basketball, lead the break, dish the dimes off to another post player that's running the floor? When she did a Euro step 2 or 3 times tonight. I mean, kids her size normally don't do that. She is skilled in so many ways, but she's still a work in progress. That's a kid that's only got we played 8 games. 8 games. I mean, she sat out all last year, so that's the exciting thing about our team. They're young. And sometimes that makes my hair get grayer at times because I understand how inexperienced we are, and sometimes I'm not as patient as I need to be. But, wow, these kids are starting to grow up, and when they do, we're going to be a good basketball team. We're not there yet, but I really have a lot of faith in the promise of this team going forward.